KXLY News. This is News 4 at 5.
Yeah, it's a nice day, but it's still prison.
Are they being punished or pampered? A News 4 investigation takes you inside a Spokane County prison where inmates have been sentenced to playing games and learning hobbies. Good evening, I'm Marianne Mishima.
And I'm Barry Judge. Our special report uncovers surprising conditions inside the Geiger Correction Center. The county owns and operates the minimum security facility west of Spokane. What we have found will make you wonder if crime does pay. News 4's Jeff Ray with an exclusive report.
Am I having a good time in prison?
They never do.
No.
Okay.
From the outside, it looks like a country club. People play tennis, basketball, and bask in the sun.
Yeah, it's a nice day.
Even though you wouldn't want to be a member of this club, you are, in a sense, already paying club dues.
But it's still prison.
This is the Geiger Correction Center, a county-owned, taxpayer-funded, minimum security prison. And at least one county official thinks the inmates here have it too easy.
I'm frustrated. I always have been frustrated. I think across the board in this nation, we're coddling criminals.
At Geiger, the atmosphere is casual and relaxed. Uniforms are not required. Most inmates wear t-shirts and shorts. Even the guards look like they'd be comfortable on a golf course, which is fitting because the grounds are immaculate. The lawn is neatly trimmed, and the flower garden rivals anything you'll find in Manitou Park.
The barber/beauty shop.
The inmates can stay beautiful, too. They have their own salon. Perms and hair coloring must be scheduled in advance.
Money on there.
They have their own commissary. It features everything from microwave popcorn to gourmet ice cream. And to work off those extra pounds, they have their own gym. It's equipped with aerobic equipment, weights, and a recreation specialist who coordinates group activities. But what's most notable about this prison is that it's the only one in the state where men and women inmates are allowed to co-mingle. Geiger has had 4 pregnancies in the past 5 years. If you find all these amenities unusual, you may be shocked to learn the people who run Geiger claim they're fighting crime and saving you money. They say inmates who are released from this type of facility are less likely to reoffend. And they boast that last year, Geiger actually generated income for the county.
Let me tell you, every inmate at Geiger has a job.
Mike Panic is the facility administrator, and he says life here isn't as easy as it looks. Inmates do work, ranging from picking up trash along county roads to maintaining county golf courses.
We probably save millions of dollars a year by using inmate labor in the operation of the facility.
And as far as the recreational opportunities Geiger offers, Panic says it's easier and cheaper to monitor inmates while they're outside playing games than it is while they're inside, locked in their cells.
An inmate who is kept busy in positive ways is going to be an easier inmate to manage than an inmate who has a lot of free time on his hands. This is the nursing.
But the biggest point Geiger supporters stress is that this facility is making money. A $200,000 profit last year off of its contract with the Federal Bureau of Prisons to house federal inmates. For Spokane County, when it comes to Geiger, crime does pay.
Yeah, it's a nice day, but it's still prison.
Here at Geiger, prison officials emphasize that no taxpayer dollars are used to buy any recreation equipment. Even for these tennis balls and softballs we find scattered just beyond the fence, they say the inmates buy them themselves through the use of the Geiger phone system and the commissary. Now, coming up tomorrow on News 4 at 5, a look at some of the other perks of prison life, including the library that offers some of the latest bestsellers, the ceramic shop where inmates can pick up a new hobby, and the satellite TV system that can broadcast programs like ESPN and a few other channels right to the inmates' rooms. Barry, Marianne?
In the case of those pregnancies, I believe you said 5, Jeff?
That's right, 5 over the past 4 years.
Who pays, and is there any disciplinary action involved in that?
As far as who is paying, I would assume it would be taxpayers as a result of the health care that inmates are provided. Disciplinary action? Yes. We're told an investigation is conducted, and the inmates are disciplined by being sent to other facilities where inmates are not allowed to commingle.
Thank you, Jeff Ray at Geiger Corrections Center. Washington Water Power changes its tune and apologizes for threatening to cut off a sick woman's power. Marilyn Frank is recovering from open heart surgery. She says she needs an oxygen machine to stay alive. WWP officials knew her situation, but yesterday she got a shutoff notice saying the power would be cut unless she paid $100 on her bill.
It's really rough. Nobody should have to be treated like that. I don't care who it is. But they just, to me, they just don't care. And it hurts.
This is a circumstance that we truly regret, Cindy. It's one that's unfortunate, and there were some breakdowns within our system, and we do apologize and regret this situation.
Tonight on News 4 at 6, we'll tell you what to do if you have a similar problem and find out whether Maryland will have to pay that $300 plus bill.
A grass fire burned a trail along some railroad tracks in East Spokane at about noon today. The flames charred 2 acres east of the Freya Street Bridge. Firefighters say that fires along railroad tracks are fairly common. They're often sparked by sparks from the train. The cause of this fire, however, is unknown. Eastern Washington wheat farmers are starting what could be the most valuable harvest in a century. Crop forecasters say winter and spring wheat could yield more than 170 million bushels by the end of the season. That would be just shy of the record harvest 3 years ago. Whitman County growers say a mild winter and spring rainfall made the difference for this year's wheat crop.
We're expecting excellent quality, and the other plus is prices are fairly good right now, so this should be a real boom year for the wheat industry and for the state's economy.
The wheat crop sales could total $880 million. Severe shortages of grain in other areas of the country are driving up prices.
And it means you'll likely see higher prices on everything from milk to meat at your grocery store.
News 4's Katie Eldridge has more on the story tonight. Let's go to her live.
That's right. Barry and Marianne, at smaller grocery stores like here at Rockwood Market and at the Giants, prices have been going up across the board. For instance, a gallon of milk that just last year cost about $2.50 almost costs $3 now, and it's something that grocers are getting used to. A shortage in wheat is having an effect on all the products. Some of the shortages are temporary, but all eventually will be passed on to you.
You just have to raise your prices as they raise the prices to you and pass it on to the consumer. If you don't do that, you're not going to stay in business.
Now, the biggest price increases have been seen in bacon, eggs, and in milk products. Back to you.
I assume this is across the board, that all supermarkets and grocery stores are feeling the pinch?
Yes, we've talked to several grocery stores today. All of the managers we spoke with say yes, this is something they're seeing, and they see it every year, but this time it's with many more products, and this time they don't know if it's going to go away. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Katie. An armed robbery at a North Spokane theater while it was full of moviegoers. The robbers are this week's secret target witness. Spokane police say 2 men confronted the manager and other employees of the Lion Cinema Monday night at about 10:30. Both men had guns, took money, and ran. If you have any information that could solve this armed robbery, you could get a $1,000 cash reward. Call Secret Witness at 327-5111.
An engine fails and a military jet fighter crashes into a Florida house, setting it on fire. Debris is scattered throughout a neighborhood in Pensacola. 1 child is missing tonight. At least 2 adults are injured. The pilot ejected after it became apparent an emergency landing at the airport was impossible. The pilot is in good condition. The plane was en route to a safe area away from Hurricane Bertha.
Well, plenty of people are moving to get out of the way of Bertha. Another round of evacuations was ordered today for coastal communities in North and South Carolina. More than 100,000 residents and vacationers have been told to head for higher ground. Ocean swells are at 15 feet high, and more than a ½ inch of rain has already fallen in some places. But the good news, evacuation orders have been lifted in Florida, and it looks like people there will be spared the worst. Laura Ashley joins us in just a few minutes with the latest on Bertha and, of course, your SkyTrack forecast.
Life can be just a bowl of cherries, or it can also be the pits. We have the story coming up on News 4 at 5.
If exercise is the first thing you forget to do, well, you're not alone. Some tips to get you going.
A smart cat has his own medical emergency and handles it very well. He did what any person would do. He called 911.
And coming up tonight on News 4 at 6, a major milestone for one of Spokane's major employers. Kaiser Aluminum's Mead plant celebrates 50 years in business.
have just one horse when you can put 290 in your stable? Saddle one up today at Knutson Chevrolet, where friends have met friends for 3 generations.
Some people think refinancing only pays off their current home loan. In fact, they're very surprised when they find out how much money we can actually save them.
Auto loans, credit cards, and your mortgage. We can often consolidate all of them to improve a homeowner's budget. That's the Union Financial difference. Whatever your financing needs, we can help you save money even if your credit is less than desirable. Union Financial Corporation is your local money source for refinancing. One loan, one payment. Call Union Financial Corporation, 1-800-USA-LEND.
Hi, I'm Laura Ashley. I hope you've been enjoying all this great weather. Today it was 84 in Spokane after a low of 53, and we had a record 103 in 1926. 41 was the record low in 1981. We've had no precipitation today. Our sunrise is at 5:04 a.m. Sunset is at 8:47 p.m. More in a moment.
Powerful, unpredictable, the terror of North Idaho. The Kxly is one screamer of a ride. With everything to do at Silverwood, you don't have to face up to your fears and ride the Kxly. But deep down inside, you know you must. The Kxly, now running wild at Silverwood.
Save $2 on adult admissions with coupons on Pepsi products.
Recently, Dairy Queen has been filling my head with all kinds of new Blizzard and Breeze flavors. What do you think about thick, chunky fudge Oreo, crunchy cappuccino heat, or creamy mint M&Ms at $1.29? All 3 Blizzard and Breeze flavors for only $1.29. I can't wait to dig in. But first things first, for hot eats, cool treats, think DQ.
You're watching News 4 at 5 with Barry Judge, Marianne Mishima, Weather with Laura Ashley, and Sports with Rick Lukens.
What happened to the heat today? Only 84 and it's going into the 50s tonight?
Yeah, but then it goes into the 90s this weekend. That's right. Great barbecue weather for everybody outside with all this nice weather, and the winds are finally dying down. Taking a look at our Skycam airport, it looks like it's going to be a nice night for traveling. In fact, this is our exclusive Skycam at the airport. Gives us an idea of how things are looking out there. It has been great. Right now, smooth sailing for us. The temperature 83 degrees with sunshine and calm winds, and the barometer is falling at 30.14. Tonight, our forecast is going to remain mostly clear. Barbecue weather with a low of 55 with light winds. And tomorrow morning, we're anticipating more sunshine, and it's going to heat up by tomorrow afternoon with a high of 89. And in the Lake City at Coeur d'Alene, we're anticipating our lake forecast to be great, though the winds in the morning hours could be out of the northeast to 20 miles per hour. Then those will die down for the afternoon. Let's take a look at our latest satellite map. We have a ridge of high pressure that is sitting over British Columbia, moving into Banff and Jasper. It's pushing these storms directly up into southeastern Alaska, leaving us clear for the time being. The storm again going well to the north of us. Right now we have a lot of hot weather across the inland northwest. Record heat forecasted across most of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho through Friday and again on Saturday. Clear sailing, beautiful weather. Want you to note though, it's warmer tomorrow in Seattle and in Portland than here. And the reason is around that ridge of high pressure, that warm air slides down the Cascades and warms things up. It's called an offshore flow, and things are going to be hot. Seattle 90, 96 in Portland, 90 in Pullman, Moses Lake 94, 33 in Penticton. That's temperatures near 90 degrees for us here in the States in Fahrenheit. Edmonton 22 degrees Celsius, that's 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Kalispell at 83, Lewiston 93, Pendleton 93, Grangeville 88, and in Coeur d'Alene 87 after a low of 54. And Lookout Pass 85. And if you're planning on getting out this weekend, you can't go wrong this weekend. 80s for Glacier Park, Yellowstone, the coast, and the Cascades. The lakes, if you're heading towards Pend Oreille, Priest Lake, temperatures between 85 and 95. Hells Canyon 90s, and up through Banff and Jasper, this 24 to 30 degrees Celsius is around about 80 to 86 degrees for us. So just plan on great weather. All eyes are on Hurricane Bertha as she steams towards the South Carolina coastline tonight. Hurricane warnings are out from Brunswick, Georgia, north to the North Carolina-Virginia border. And her track, looking at the models, takes her through South Carolina, into North Carolina, and up into Virginia. Right now, our winds are at 80 miles per hour. She's 245 miles south of Wilmington, and it looks like it is going to hit later on this evening through tomorrow morning as she moves up again through South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia over the next 2 days. Temperatures are going to cool down as she passes even Washington, D.C. 76, Chicago 82 tomorrow. Partly cloudy for Atlanta, Dallas 91, a few clouds around Denver, and there will be thunderstorms around Reno, Nevada. San Francisco, a high of 72, Edmonton 22. As we look at our 5-day forecast, it's going to be unbelievably warm by this weekend. So tonight with a low of 55, great night to be out and doing a little barbecuing. By Saturday, we are back up to 92. Sunday, we warm up to 94. And on Tuesday, 82. Finally, a break in the weather, if you want to put it that way. A lot of us like to get out, camp, golf, boat, and it's going to be great this weekend. But then on Tuesday, a cold front moves through, and it really drops our temperatures, and we'll feel that colder air.
It'll be welcome, I'm sure, by that time.
I think so.
Right, Laura, thanks.
Well, these summer nights are great for being out. I think Elizabeth Gardner is finding that out right now.
Well, she loves cherries, and I think she even likes the pits. She's at the Cherry Pit Spit. Are you involved in the competition?
Well, I think they drafted me when I got out here. It was very interesting. I was looking at the records for the media division, and Rick Lucas actually has the record for the men's media cherry spit. And so I think they wrote me into that. But the other thing they wrote me into is the dunking booth. So I'm very happy that we're having beautiful weather. Again, this is the Cherry Pit Spit and Cherry Trot. And it's sort of an opener to the Cherry Festival that happens this weekend. There's a lot going on this afternoon. Of course, I'm going to be here in the dunking booth for a little while. That's going to be plenty of entertainment. Plus, there's a band here. There's a kids run as well, and to cap it all off, we have the Cherry Trot, and that is at 7 o'clock. So if you get a chance to come on out, again, it's a beautiful, beautiful day, plenty of food, lots of people out here, and you can come laugh at me in the dunking booth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let them see if they can dunk me. My actual session comes up at about 6:15, and I'll be back at 6 o'clock to tell you how the cherry spit went, because it starts at 5:30. But for now, we'll see how good these guys are.
Go ahead, throw it.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Throw it.
No, not yet. Okay.
Throw it.
Sit way in front. Okay. Okay. See what you can do.
Second one.
Didn't take long, did it?
Water can't be too cold. She didn't scream. Well, if you'd like to try your luck at tonight's Pit Spit, the contest, as Elizabeth just told you, starts at 5:30 at Green Bluff, north of Spokane. Making time for exercise is well worth the effort. Just ahead on News 4 at 5.
Get off of work, a long commute. It's kind of hard to get motivated after you get home with that.
Tips for squeezing workout time into the busiest of schedules.
Gaining weight, but can't figure out why? Maybe your prescription drugs are to blame.
Long-distance companies compare savings and ask you to switch. We've got a plan you'll like better.
Don't change it, world exchange it.
With TalkSense, you don't switch long-distance companies. You exchange it on a per-call basis by dialing 10502. Then the number as normal. Just $4.95 a month and 9 cents a minute, anytime, to anyone, anywhere in the USA. 10502, just 9 cents a minute. TalkSense means low international rates, too. Take a look at your phone bill. If you're paying too much for long distance, dial 10502 and start saving. Don't change your long distance company. Exchange it on a per call basis and pay just 9 cents a minute. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not just evenings and weekends. 9 cents a minute anytime to anyone in the USA. Works on your residential phone right now. Try it. For more information, dial 10502, then press 0 for your operator.
Don't change it, world exchange it.
Contact News 4 online via email and visit News 4's homepage on the internet 24 hours a day. News 4 listens to you.
Hi, Bud Namick inviting you to join us for the 9th annual Rosars Open here at Indian Canyon Golf Course, July 10th through the 14th. The Seafirst Pro-Am is Wednesday and Thursday, July 10th and 11th. Then the top professionals from the Northwest take on the Canyon Friday through Sunday, July 12th through 14th. In 8 years, the Rosars Open has raised almost $500,000 for the Vanessa Behan Crisis Nursery. Gallery admission is free for the Rosars Open. Please join us at the Canyon July 10th through the 14th. Brought to you by Frito-Lay and Seafirst.
They're here. Suzuki's are at Wendell, Northtown. Check this out. Suzuki Sidekicks, 4-door, 4-wheel drive, safe, fun, and starting as low as $14,995. For fun in the sun, 2-door Sidekicks, 4x4 convertible, almost 30 miles per gallon with low lease payments as low as $169 per month. Or test drive the Suzuki Esteem, 4-door standard AC and 40 miles per gallon with low lease payments as low as $159 per month. All the Wendell Suzukis help make commuting fun and affordable. That's Wendell Suzuki, Northtown.
In Health Beat today, a national call to action, literally trying to get Americans to become more active. Some people do run or put in time at the gym, but not everyone's doing it. In fact, the first ever Surgeon General's report on physical fitness shows that most folks find fitness difficult to fit into their daily lives.
Immediate demands are very concrete, they're very pressing, you're very aware of them, whereas the other is a possibility in the future.
One suggestion, if family demands seem to wipe out your time to exercise, get the whole family involved in your exercise. And don't think only of the short-term benefits. Think of how good you feel by Labor Day, by Christmas, by this time next year.
If your concern is losing weight and you're not having much success, perhaps your prescription medications may be to blame. Betty Linden, she needs a steroid drug, prednisone, to treat her asthma, and that is causing her to gain weight, more than 60 pounds. Experts say that people who get heavier because of medications are usually susceptible to weight gain under other conditions.
They may need some additional help to deal with the stresses of the chronic illness and the specific stress of the change in their bodies.
It is estimated that more than 100 prescription drugs may cause weight gain by changing the way the body burns fat. If you have questions about a drug that you're taking now, ask your doctor or pharmacist for more information. Sportscaster Todd Lewis has taken on several challengers in his Tee It Up with Todd feature, including a minister and a used car salesman. So far, nobody has beaten him.
Next on News 4 at 5, we'll show you how Todd does against a challenger who's barely old enough to shave.
No matter where you travel this summer, you'll be seeing some interesting sights, like new Dodge cars and trucks, because Dodge's popularity is rising faster than any other American car and truck line. And now that you can get $1,000 cash back or low 1.9% financing on Dodge Neon, their popularity is sure to increase even more. So hurry to the Dodge Summer Clearance and get the whole picture. See your local Northwest Dodge dealer today.
I used to be energetically challenged. Then help arrived. The redesigned US West Direct Yellow Pages. It's so quick and easy to use, even I can find stuff to do. Area attractions, recreation, the performing arts. They also thought of other ways to make finding things easier, including maps that are so good, I only actually got lost once.
No wonder it's the one that gets used. US West Direct.
One loan, one payment each month, and nothing more.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
If you're like most homeowners, you're paying a mortgage, several credit cards, and an auto loan each month. That's why the Money Store introduced the combo loan. With a combo loan from the Money Store, you can refinance your mortgage and consolidate your bills. You'll have one loan, one payment, and write just one check each month.
Plus, the interest can be tax deductible.
One loan, one payment with a combo loan from the Money Store. Call 1-800-LOAN-YES.
News 4 takes a look back at Kaiser's 50 years of production at the Mead Smelter. Dave Meany reports. Kaiser, 50 years of progress tonight on News 4 at 6.
Tee Up with Todd is brought to you by the Coeur d'Alene Holiday Inn and the Coeur d'Alene Resort Golf Course.
The last few days, Rick and I have been chatting about how poorly our golf games have been going. I'm hoping Todd is having better luck than you and I.
By the end of the summer, though, you're going to be ready to take him on.
You think so?
You
huh?
can't win the prize, though.
Okay.
So far this summer, no challenger has been able to defeat Todd Lewis in our Tee Up with Todd series, but tonight, Todd may have met his match. He takes on a kid who just earned his high school diploma. Now he's looking to show Todd who's magna cum laude on the golf course.
Clark Brungo Mather loves Washington State, so much so that he plans to attend Wazoo in the fall.
I've been a Cougar fan most of my life, trying to really keep up with them in the Apple Cup season. I've just mainly been a Cougar fan because that's where I grew up.
Do you know the Cougar fight song?
I don't know the Cougar fight song.
But Clark was in a fighting mood, and we slugged it out on the 18th hole at the Coeur d'Alene Resort Golf Course. Oh, this guy has a sweet swing, and I was shaking in my spikes on the tee. Ooh, you are the man. His drive was big, but his approach was even better. Clark stuck a 3-iron, and he was left with a 20-footer for birdie. Surprisingly, Clark missed his putt, and I needed a short one to tie. But it wasn't to be. Clark took home some great stuff, and he's now eligible for our grand prize. He's got a lot to brag about when he heads to Pullman for freshman orientation, but he still doesn't know that fight song. Fight, fight, fight for Washington State. And in Coeur d'Alene, Todd Lewis, News 4 Sports.
And anyone who beats Todd this summer will have a chance at that grand prize, a round of golf for 2 at the Coeur d'Alene Resort. So far, Clark is the only one who's beaten Todd, so anyone else who wants a shot, it's almost wide open. Write us at that address, West 500 Boone.
You know, I think I could live without the hat. If I could just have that stroke, I'd be a happy woman.
Yeah, it's pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Thanks.
The Forest Service is working to take care of several potential killers in the mountains of North Idaho. They are abandoned mines, and there could be as many as 1,000 of them. Mike Kxly is live in the News 4 North Idaho Bureau tonight with a preview.
Well, Barry, last year 2 people died in an abandoned mine on the south end of Lake Pend Oreille, and that's one reason why the Forest Service is in the process of drilling and then using dynamite to close several other North Idaho mines that are abandoned and are accessible to the public. And it'll take a lot of time and effort to get the job done, and we'll have the whole story coming up on News 4 at 6.
Mike, we'll see you then.
And finally tonight, a smart little tabby proves just how smart the family pet can actually be. Meet Tipper, a gray and white tabby who lives with his owners in Tampa, Florida. Yesterday, Tipper was choking on his flea collar. He stumbled around his house, finally knocking the telephone off the hook. Tipper stepped on the buttons and hit the speed dial for 911. The dispatcher heard strange howling sounds and sent a deputy.
The cat actually in distress and have a 911 call come in where the cat obviously had pushed the button.
Tipper may have used up one of his 9 lives, but with smarts like this, who needs 8 more? How did Tipper's owners react? Well, he was pretty worried at first, but now he laughs and says Tipper is doing just fine.
That's feline fine. We're back at 6.
If you see news happening or have news video, contact News 4 at these telephone numbers 24 hours a day.
The Coeur d'Alene Resort Golf Course has teamed up with the all-new Coeur d'Alene Inn to offer you a great summer golf package.
It includes 18 holes of golf at the Coeur d'Alene Resort Golf Course, accommodations at the newly remodeled Coeur d'Alene Inn and Conference Center, including the exciting new indoor-outdoor pool, Nautilus Fitness Center, and Mulligan's Rotisserie Grill and Bar.
This package is available June through September for only $144 per person. See you on the first tee.
Steve, how can one phone line do the work of 2?
I don't know.
How can you prioritize your incoming calls?
I don't know. Ask me something about plumbing.
Don't worry, Steve. The small business group at US West is here to handle your phones. And now during our free installation proclamation, we're installing lots of products free. Call us to find out which ones can help your business. After all, you know plumbing. And we know phones. The small business group at US West.
At Camp World of Cars, we've expanded our used car lot. Choose from Camp's selection of over 300 quality used vehicles. Experience the finest in used vehicles. Experience the new used car division at Camp World of Cars.
1, 2.
day-o, one-day sale. Friday only at the Bon Marché.
This Friday at the Bon Marché, it's our one-day only sale, where you can save 10 to 50% throughout the store. Save on a huge selection of great fashions and accessories for women, men, kids, and the home.
One-day sale. Friday only at the Bon Marché.
There's a growing breed of men taking machismo to a new level. Equipped for any situation.
I got the manly essentials.
Rick Lukens introduces you to the manly men of the Northwest. Tomorrow on News 4 at 6.
KXLY News and News 4, the Inland Northwest #1 source for news. Stay tuned now for ABC's World's News Tonight with Peter Jennings, followed by News 4 at 6.
On World News Tonight this Thursday, Hurricane Bertha keeps the Carolinas on edge. Wall Street on edge. Big trouble for some high-flying stocks. And the American agenda.
Look at me like you mean it.
A very controversial method of religious parenting.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the frustration and anxiety that millions of Americans are experiencing along the Atlantic coast, especially in the Carolinas tonight. People are all too aware that Hurricane Bertha is just beyond the horizon and continues to confound the most sophisticated analysis. First, the good news. Bertha is not as strong as she was. The winds are down at the moment to 80 miles an hour. But she is still heading for the coastline right about where North and South Carolina meet. And that's where Mike Von Fremd is tonight, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
The local police are threatening to arrest anyone who does not leave the beach.
City of Myrtle Beach is under mandatory evacuation. Please leave the area.
At the peak of tourist season, with most hotels sold out, the governor said the mandatory evacuation will be strictly enforced.
They just said that the governor declared the evacuation for us to make residents get on out of here.
Families had no choice but to hustle out of their rooms.
How much time did they give you to pack?
30 minutes. 30 minutes.
They told us we had to leave, and yes, that's the right call to make. Because what the hell? We're just going to... why risk it with kids?
Governor demanded orders that we evacuating, ma'am. Okay, we have to keep traffic going. Please go west.
With everyone leaving at once, the roads out of town are bumper to bumper. And many vacationers say they have no idea where they will spend the night. The tide is now so high that even if vacationers had been allowed to stay, there's almost no beach left to enjoy. 7 years ago, Hurricane Hugo washed away Myrtle Beach's sand dunes, leaving this resort area more vulnerable. Peter?
Thanks very much, Mike Von Fremd in Myrtle Beach. Now we make our obligatory call on the former director of the National Hurricane Center, Bob Sheets. Bob, tell us what you know as of now.
Well, Peter, as you indicated, it has weakened a little bit. Particularly the western half of the hurricane has been sort of sheared off. However, the eastern half of that hurricane remains very healthy, and it's that eastern half that's going to be pushing ashore from the North Carolina border with South Carolina all the way through that fragile Barrier Island area, all the way through the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Be there tomorrow. Some of the winds will be there late tonight.
Any hopeful signs for the people who live along the coast?
I think the problem here is not going to be the wind so much as it is going to be that storm surge, that rising water, all that wave action, and that will cause considerable damage here on the Barrier Islands.
Okay, Bob, thanks very much. Bob Sheets, former director of the National Hurricane Center. Let's get to that wave surge. ABC's Bill Blakemore has been getting at the science of hurricanes for us these last few days, and tonight he restates the conditions under which Bertha could become dangerous again.
Two things just off the beaches in Bertha's path are worrying officials. First, much of the seabed there is shallow. That means the seawater surge, lifted by the low-pressure eye and pushed even higher by the advancing winds, will have no depths in which to disperse. So the water would have nowhere to go but ashore. And it's not just flooding. Waves on top of the surge can batter houses and people. Second, Bertha has to cross the warm waters of the Gulf Stream current before landfall. Warm seawater keeps reheating hurricane winds and can intensify them. The hope is that Bertha will travel fast across the Gulf Stream, so there's less time to refuel on the warm water. But if it doesn't, forecasters remember Hurricanes Hugo and Andrew, whose new strength from the Gulf Stream just before landfall produced massive damage. Bill Blakemore, ABC News.
One other weather-related item. In Florida today, an Air Force F-16 fighter that was being moved out of the way of the hurricane crashed. The plane, based in South Carolina, crashed into a residential area near Pensacola. The pilot ejected safely. One person on the ground was hurt. One is missing. The weather was clear. No word specifically on why the plane went down. In a moment, we'll go on to some of the other news. The sudden decline on Wall Street today. So what is it that's pushing the market down? Trying to figure out Ross Perot. Is he really running for president? And once and for all, we will identify for you that voice in the movie theater.
Sight gags, and you have Spy Hard.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Honda.
Come on, move the car. Hey, move the car. Hey, what is wrong with you? Move the...
Reminds me of a stomach churning with acid, heartburn. This little pill can change all that. Zantac 75 helps prevent acid production for up to 12 hours. The medicine in Zantac 75 is so trusted that over the last 5 years, it's been the most prescribed medicine of its kind. Maybe the tide is finally turning.
Zantac 75, the final word in acid relief.
They're getting that sinking feeling on Wall Street again. The Dow Jones Industrials lost 83 points in extremely heavy trading today. And the NASDAQ market, loaded with technology and healthcare stocks, took an even larger percentage drop, nearly 35 points. Some money managers are nervous. Here's ABC's James Walker.
For the past year, it's been the high-flying technology stocks that have produced the passion and the profits for millions of investors. And today, sharp declines. Computer giant Hewlett-Packard announced its sales and profits may be hurt by weaker orders, which followed yesterday's equally gloomy report from Motorola.
I think those companies are giving Wall Street a warning that our expectations are too optimistic, and the second half may provide disappointing earnings in general.
The decline was also fueled by a report that the flood of money into mutual funds, which helped drive the bull market, has slowed, dropping from some $20 billion a month average to $15 billion last month.
Basically, there's not enough money coming in the system to keep stock prices up.
But not everyone agrees that the slowdown in mutual fund investments will end the bull market.
One swallow doesn't make a summer. 15 billion is still greater than every month in 1995 except one.
But to the new worries about lower corporate profits and fewer investors, add the ongoing concern that interest rates could head higher. To many analysts, that could mean a temporary decline in the stock market of up to 10% in the next few weeks. James Walker, ABC News, New York.
In Phoenix today, 6 of the 12 members of the Viper militia who were arrested 2 weeks ago were released from jail. They will wear electronic ankle bracelets so authorities can keep track of them. They still face charges of conspiring to build a bomb. Well, once again this year, the Texas billionaire politician Ross Perot continues to keep us guessing about his ultimate intentions. What with his political party, and now former Governor Lamb of Colorado saying he wants to be the Reform Party candidate, the Perot factor is confusing some people. Last night and this morning, Mr. Perot certainly seemed to say he was running. At any rate, and briefly, here are some of the questions and answers. So is Ross Perot running for president or not?
If anybody should do it, I should do it, and I will do it.
That means, yes, he is. He put his name along with Governor Lamb's on the Reform Party ballot, and then last night and again this morning, Perot said he would run if he was nominated by his party. Yes, we know, he says, that the Reform Party will decide, but is the Reform Party anything without Perot? Certainly not in its present form. He is the party's one and only contributor. Without his money to pay signature gatherers, it wouldn't be getting on the ballot everywhere that it is. Well, is former Governor Lamb of Colorado a genuine possibility to be the Reform Party's candidate, or does it all depend on Perot? Lamb is a possibility, but a slight one. He is counting on the idea that party members are hungry for someone else. But most people who joined the Reform Party did so because they like Perot. Well, let's talk about money. If Ross Perot becomes the Reform Party candidate, can he spend as much of his own money as he wants on his own campaign? Yes. Legally, candidates can spend as much of their own money as they want on their own campaigns. In 1992, Perot devoted $69 million of his own money. On the other hand, if it was Richard Lamb who got the nomination, Mr. Perot would be severely limited in how much money he could give to that campaign. For a start, as an individual, he could only give $1,000 directly to the candidate. President Clinton has announced a plan in which the government would spend $5 billion to help the nation's crumbling schools. Under the program, school districts could apply for federal funds to make repairs or new construction. Congress has to agree, of course. There are certainly much better odds for major welfare reform in the Congress. Today, Republicans dropped their insistence on packaging welfare with Medicaid reform, a combination the president opposes. And late today, the White House reacted positively to all this, though it has not committed itself completely to the bill, which would turn most welfare decisions over to the states. As we told you last night that she would, the acting Surgeon General, Audrey Manley, did issue a report today on physical activity and the nation's health. After pointing out that Americans could avoid serious illness by being more physical, the recommendations turn out to be fairly obvious. Yes, exercise more. Even moderate exertion to burn off 150 calories a day will do. You could walk for 30 minutes, push a stroller for 30 minutes, wash and wax the car. That would take 45 minutes, actually. In other words, you don't have to sweat like a triathlete. Overseas today in Northern Ireland, the Protestants had their way. In a moment, what happened afterwards.
At Jones Market, we work a long, hard day, so I need the strongest hold I can get. That's why I switched adhesives.
Fixodent holds stronger, longer, or your money back. Guaranteed.
Nice and crisp.
Even in the hottest liquids, Fixodent holds stronger, longer than any other adhesive.
I can have chowder for lunch and fresh corn for dinner. Days are hard, but I've got lots of support.
For a stronger, longer hold or your money back, Fixodent and forget it. Guaranteed.
Why is it that wrinkles on men are supposedly distinguished and on women they're not? I have tried every beauty product that has ever come out. I have a museum of old products that are collecting dust somewhere in my house. That's why I went to my doctor. I don't have those little wrinkles went away. There's a smoothness. The best thing I ever did for my skin was to go to my doctor. It looks good without makeup. To get up in the morning, look in the mirror, and just, I'm enough. I love that.
See your doctor or call 1-800-5-NO-MAKEUP for your free information kit.
On August 15th, you might get a standing ovation.
How about that, guys?
You might rejoice.
I'm being blessed.
You might hug a stranger.
Oh, thank you.
You might boogie. And all of America might see it.
This can't be.
Because on August 15th, the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol will surprise another $1 million winner on TV. So enter now because you might win.
This new deck cost me a bundle.
You'd better protect it. Thompson's Water Seal Wood Protector is on guard against water damage, mildew, rot, and fading. That's why it's #1 for wood. Thompson's is protection.
You know, meat's a dog's natural food. Meat's what they love. So that's why I feed mine Pedigree, the #1 meat dog food in America. It's 100% complete and balanced and keeps them in great shape.
Pedigree, developed with vets, recommended by top breeders.
Tonight on Nightline, the latest developments on Hurricane Bertha as it heads toward the Carolinas and the medical mystery of a parasite that may already have infected thousands. Our focus on Nightline tonight.
Overseas, there were troubles for yet another day in Northern Ireland between Protestants and Catholics. All day long, police have been clashing with demonstrators in many parts of the country. ABC's Richard Gisbert in Northern Ireland tonight explains what has set them off this time.
For 4 days, Protestants had tried to march through a Catholic neighborhood only to be blocked by police. Finally today, the government and the police backed down. The Catholics had counted on police to stop the marchers. Then they tried to block the road, and when the police tried to move them out, the fighting began. When the Protestants finally marched through, police used rubber bullets to keep Catholics at bay. Protestants used the marches to commemorate their conquest of Catholics at the Battle of the Boyne in 1690. Catholics condemned the marches as acts of provocation used by Protestants to remind Catholics of who was in charge. Tonight, Sinn Féin, the IRA's political wing, was calling for Catholic solidarity. Tomorrow, the Protestants are determined to march through a Catholic neighborhood once again, this time in Belfast. The Catholics are equally determined to stop them. Richard Gisbert, ABC News, Belfast.
Still overseas, Russia's war against the independence movement in Chechnya is on again, despite President Yeltsin's promise to end it. A senior Russian commander in Chechnya was killed today when his car hit a landmine, and the Russian military has been bombing 2 Chechen villages. In Moscow, a lot of people believe this is the revenge of the Chechens. A bomb hidden in a bag exploded on a tram. 5 people were injured. The International War Crimes Tribunal has issued arrest warrants for the military commander of the Bosnian Serbs, Ratko Mladic, and their political leader, Radovan Karadzic, which means if they leave Bosnian Serb territory, they are subject to arrest. It was General Mladic who a year ago assured these people in Srebrenica that the Bosnian Serb army would do them, he said, no harm. He lied. ABC's Sheila McVicker is in Bosnia tonight with the women whose lives changed forever 1 year ago today.
She was looking for the names of those she lost. Where are my children, my grandchildren, she asked. Thousands of women from Srebrenica were asking the same question today. This was the day to remember the men who disappeared. Other women came to show solidarity. American soldiers wore buttons saying, "We are not alone."
None of us have our weapons. None of us came here as soldiers. We just came here as women supporting them today.
But the women of Srebrenica hoped for more. I had hoped someone would finally tell us what happened, she said. Are they alive? Are they dead? Will we ever know? In the years since their men disappeared, these women have had no concrete information about what happened to them. And until they get those answers, the survivors will not be able to begin to rebuild their lives. There was a very different atmosphere today in Srebrenica, now under Bosnian Serb control.
There are no mass graves. In every war there will be killings. The graves that are being exhumed are of Muslims we found dead and buried to prevent disease.
But at this gravesite, international investigators believe hundreds of men were lined up, shot, their bodies discarded.
They've been silent and patient here for a year. And now we hope to actually help them tell their story, translate what they have to say.
They will continue to search for the truth in these hills and on the roadside. Sheila McVicker, ABC News, Tuzla.
The Clinton administration has told the president of Colombia, Ernesto Samper, that he is no longer welcome here because he took campaign money from the drug cartels. The administration has taken the extraordinary step of canceling President Samper's entry visa. In a moment, a religious guide to parenting, but how much obedience is too much?
Lysol spray, use number 86, that mysterious smell in the curtains. Use number 16, those foul bacteria left on the fridge. New crisp linen scent Lysol disinfectant spray. There's nothing this can't do.
There you go.
You know what, Grandpa?
What?
Mommy said that Grandma's pizza will make your heart burn.
My heartburn. Oh, heartburn. Well, your mommy doesn't know about my secret weapon for heartburn, Pepsid AC. See, I always take one before I eat your grandma's pizza.
So your heart won't burn?
Not even if I put green peppers all over the whole thing.
Green peppers, you eat those things?
Yes.
I like anchovies.
You can be heartburn-free with Pepsid AC.
The new Ford Taurus has people talking. Car and Driver noted it's wider, longer, and taller than before. Edward Armand says,
I'm amazed at its size. It's actually bigger than it looks.
Automobile Magazine calls it maybe the best family car ever made. And Maria Stylo adds,
I love it. I've never gotten so many compliments.
the new Ford Taurus, now with $1,000 cash back. Taurus starts at just $17,545. Or get 2.9% APR financing. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Where's everybody going? The Ace Independence Day sale, where you'll find help on all your summer hardware needs at great all-American savings. Hurry in. It's gonna be big.
When you're sick or injured and can't work, you still want to be able to handle things Major Medical doesn't for whatever comes up. life's got to go on. Aflac can help. Use Aflac benefits to fill the gaps other insurance doesn't cover. You decide exactly how to use it best. Then concentrate on what's really important. Just get better.
On the American agenda tonight, raising a child. There has been an explosion in the number of guides to good parenting. On the agenda tonight, our religion reporter Peggy Waymeyer, who's come across a controversial approach to raising children that has caught on in many churches across the country and caught some criticism as well.
You remember room time rules? You stay in your room, you don't call to mommy.
Leslie Mayers is raising her 3 children to be obedient.
Would you please go tell Emily you're sorry and
courteous,
look at me like you mean it.
And to have strong moral values.
Thank you for this food. Amen.
Mayers is following a popular parenting program called Growing Kids God's Way.
Listen, Emmy, look in mommy's eyes.
The philosophy is, if parents strictly control a child's choices and behavior early in life, they're more likely to develop moral character later.
Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom.
So from the time baby comes home from the hospital, feeding, napping, and playtimes follow an orderly schedule. 7-month-old Grace must spend time alone in her playpen to learn self-control and patience.
You're teaching the baby from the onset that there is a plan and that the parent is the one that's in control of the plan, not the child.
Our children are out of control. Our society is out of control. Almost every institution we have is out of control.
Gary Ezzo, a minister, and his wife Anne Marie founded Growing Kids God's Way 10 years ago. Today, it's sweeping through thousands of conservative churches. Ezzo estimates more than 500,000 babies have been raised on his regimen.
We have to again go back to Scripture.
The Ezzos use the Bible, not modern psychology, as a moral guide.
They are looking for another way, different than the last 20 years or 25 years of permissive parenting.
The parents who study the Ezzo materials in small groups, and there are thousands of them, say Growing Kids God's Way has transformed their families.
The kids are good. They're nice to be around. They respect you, and they treat you well, and they obey.
But critics, most of them within the church, say the Ezzo program stresses obedience at the expense of a child's emotional well-being, and that it may even be dangerous for nursing babies.
Like it's from Catherine?
Christy Ratcliffe put her daughter Catherine on the Ezzo feeding schedule when she was first born. But Catherine cried relentlessly. Christy was afraid to pick her up and feed her more often because the Ezzos say erratic sleep and feeding schedules can lead to attention deficit disorder and metabolic chaos. Catherine lost 1 pound within 2 weeks. Ezzo denies his program is to blame for infant weight loss and argues that scheduled feedings actually produce healthier babies.
This is probably the most dangerous program of teaching about babies and children that I have ever seen in my 25 years as a pediatrician.
Dr. William Sears is a pediatrician, author of 22 books on parenting, and like Gary Ezzo, an evangelical Christian.
The Parenting God's Way course, we call it Tough Love for Newborns. It teaches a mother to not listen to the baby's cries. Eventually what happens is that mother loses trust in her instinct. The baby loses trust in the mother.
Ezzo uses the Bible to defend his position on letting babies cry. For example, his manual states, "Praise God that the Father did not intervene when his Son cried out on the cross." Do you feel that this is clearly how the Bible would direct parents to raise their children?
I believe that the biblical principles that we have put in this book represent the mind of God, yes.
How's everybody?
But some Christians question that. In fact, the most prominent evangelical parenting expert, Dr. James Dobson, will not endorse the Ezzo program. He's issued a letter which says, the Ezzo's plan has much to offer, but may not necessarily be the last or best word in parenting. But despite the controversy surrounding the Ezzo program, parents like Leslie Mayers are convinced they're growing kids God's way. This is Peggy Waymeyer for the American Agenda.
When we come back, the voice that has launched 1,000 movies.
Hi there.
Snap, crackle, pop, Kellogg's Rice Krispies.
Ever notice what some people put in their Ziploc and only Ziploc brand freezer bags?
Dinner for the boss.
The new record!
First aid from Miss Spadairdale.
Seems a lot of people put important stuff only in freezer bags from Ziploc. That's because we put in tough, super thick plastic. Whoa! And the new clicking zipper. You can feel closed to lock out freezer burn in 5 perfect sizes.
Our wedding day.
Ziploc with the new clicking zipper.
Of all the things you could wish for, if you have osteoporosis, what you'd probably wish for most is stronger bones. Now you can do more than wish.
Ask your doctor or call 1-800-505-WISH.
August 15th, on TV, the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol will surprise a new $1 million winner. It all happens on August 15th. Enter now, and the winner could be you.
Finally from us this evening, some unabashed hype. You know it every bit as well as we do. Those voices on the movie trailers telling us in urgent, or sometimes in the most breathless tones, that the very next movie, which will soon be in the theater, cannot be missed. ABC's Brian Rooney tonight on The Voice, behind the hype in Hollywood.
There is a mystery. Elusive. He is the federal agent.
Get down!
The government can't control.
If a movie is coming soon to a theater near you, you probably heard it first from Don LaFontaine.
The summer explodes with the hottest action on the screen. Eraser.
For 30 years, Don LaFontaine has been the voice of movie trailers. He's one of the busiest people in Hollywood, spending his days in a limousine hopping from one recording studio to another. But hardly anyone outside the business knows who he is.
I like the anonymity. I like the fun of being able to walk down the street and know that virtually every single person I pass with a pair of ears that works know my voice, but they don't know that it's me. Throw in a horse in an elevator, a Harrier jet, a hungry raptor, a singing nun, some fancy footwork, a runaway bus, a presidential motorcade, a handful of cameos, and a few hundred sight gags, and you have Spy Hard. I would say probably there's 5 or 6 very basic voices that I do. They're all the same voice. It's just 5 or 6 different volume and intensity levels.
Let's just roll it back a little bit on a very Brady sequel.
17. This summer, we'll have Brady all over it. A very Brady sequel.
He doesn't claim any great talent, just a great voice.
Invite you to take a ride to the other side.
A voice that makes him a lot of money.
It's in 7 figures. Comfortably so. Fear has been unleashed.
He dominates the business because Hollywood can't find anyone like him.
It's the most engaging episode of the season.
You know, we need a Don-type voice. But, you know, maybe we don't want Don because we do too much. You know, Don gets used too much. There is no other Don-type voice. And believe me, we've tried.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
After all, nobody can say these words like Don LaFontaine.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
Brian Rooney, ABC News, Hollywood.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
That's our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget Nightline later. I'm Peter Jennings. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
The Force is with us. One of the most acclaimed shows on television is now on ABC Thursday. A force to be reckoned with. High Incident, 8/7 Central on ABC Thursday.
Next on News 4 at 6, we'll tell you about a company policy that could have cut power to a Spokane woman's life-saving medical equipment.
It's a blast for the past. North Idaho begins the process of blowing up abandoned mines.
If you know anyone or yourself that works at Kaiser's meat facility, congratulations are in order. A major milestone is reached.
News 4 at 6 is up next.
4, winner of the Emmy for Best Newscast.
From KXLY News, this is News 4 at 6.
This oxygen machine helps a Spokane woman breathe, but she says a threat to cut off her electrical power could have been a death sentence. Good evening, I'm Mary Amashima.
And I'm Barry Judge. Marilyn Frank says that Washington Water Power endangered her life. Today, the utility did an about-face and said officials deeply regret their mistake. News 4's Cindy Couris tells us about some other changes tonight.
Well, Barry, officials tonight here at Washington Water Power are busy apologizing and reviewing policy. After all, just yesterday, one of the top officials here inside this building who was well aware of Marilyn Frank's condition said, quote, cutting off her power would be the prudent thing to do. Well, today that top official says he realizes he made a mistake that was regrettable and a very unusual one. Marilyn Frank is recovering from open heart surgery and says she has to have that oxygen in order to survive. But yesterday, she got a threatening bill, either pay $100 of her bill or have her power shut off. Well, today, she started crying once again when she talked about that cutoff notice.
I live my own little life. I don't go harass people or anything. I don't go asking people for money, you know, to pay my bills. And I don't try to get out of paying my bills. It just happened that way.
What's important is that we take a look at, again, the type of system or procedure we have in place for this customer and other customers like her with difficult circumstances, and ensure that our CARES representatives are on top of the situation.
Marilyn Frank is off the hook for her electric bill tonight, thanks to the kindness of strangers. She also told us other strangers have stopped by her house, which is near here, and offered her money and given her groceries. Barry?
Well, I'm sure there always will be the exceptions to the rules, Cindy, but most of these disputes over bills don't have to come to a crisis level, do they?
Oh, they certainly don't. In fact, Washington Water Power stresses what happened here is very unusual. Now, you heard the Washington Water Power officials say and refer to something called CARES representatives. Those CARES representatives are supposed to deal with people with special needs, people like Marilyn. Now, those people can be facing health problems or perhaps even grave personal situations that make them unable to pay their bills. The CARES reps are supposed to work with those people, but there are also several neighborhood programs that prevent these kind of things from happening. These programs like SNAP, people can access those programs so they're not stuck in this bind. Barry?
Well, the prime suspect in last month's fatal shooting outside the Deja Vu Adult Club has turned himself into police. 19-year-old Eric Swanson is accused of shooting to death Robert Wolbing Jr. during an argument. Swanson is charged with 1 count of second-degree murder and 3 counts of first-degree assault. A 6% jump in major crimes reported in Spokane during May. One of the main factors, the increase in murders. 7 people were killed in the city within the first 5 months of this year, compared to 5 homicides during the same time last year. Burglaries were up 14% and theft up 7%. But some welcome news. Reported rapes, robberies, and aggravated assaults were all down. Barry?
A deadly rock slide in Yosemite National Park. Witnesses say it sounded like a thunderclap when a 200-foot wide granite slab broke loose from a cliff. It produced a blast of wind strong enough to flatten hundreds of trees. The rock slide itself killed 1 man, injured 11 people. Dust from the slide was so thick, it blotted out the sun. Idaho's mining history can pose some dangers to people, too.
Well, danger in the form of abandoned mines. Just last year, 2 men died from carbon monoxide poisoning in a mine on the south end of Lake Pend Oreille. The Forest Service is working to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. And News 4's Mike Kxly explains how from Clark Fork, Idaho.
There's an unusual noise radiating from the forest near Clark Fork. The sound of a large drill at the opening of a mine. The same kind of tool that once helped create this man-made cavern is now working to close it up.
Try to keep them safe and keep them out of there.
Crews are drilling dynamite holes in the rock so that the mine can be blasted shut. And this is one of literally hundreds of abandoned mines that pock Idaho's Panhandle Mountains.
We haven't even seen them all. We're just now still trying to find them.
It seems the public has already found a lot of them. These tunnels and shafts are littered with beer bottles and other debris left over from partiers and amateur explorers.
It's almost like what you might say is a nuisance invitation. People see an underground working, they want to know what's in there.
Gates have been placed at the portholes of some of the mines, and signs are being posted at others.
It says danger.
Jim Langdon has spent a lot of time in these tunnels. Some date back to 1913, and the timbers that support them are beginning to fail.
These are in the process of rotting. They could fail at any time. Somebody just bumped against that, this whole slab of rock could peel off.
Someday, he says, nearly all these mines will be sealed off, but it could take years. In the meantime, he hopes people will think before they explore.
Geologically, this is pretty unstable. It's not like a cave.
It's estimated there could be as many as 1,000 abandoned mines in North Idaho. The Forest Service will concentrate on closing those mines that are in a close proximity to people. And next week, explosives will be used to seal the entrance to 2 mines near Clark Fork. And gates will be placed on several others in the area. Marianne?
Thanks, Mike. As Mike mentioned, the Forest Service is using gates on some of the mines, and that's because they've become home to several bat colonies, including the endangered Townsend bat.
Intense competition in the home remodeling market has apparently put the Ernst Home Centers on shaky ground. The 103-year-old company may have to file for bankruptcy. Ernst has been sued by several suppliers who claim they have not been paid. The 86-store chain was founded in Seattle more than a century ago. The Ernst outlets, many of the smaller ones, are struggling against the superstores. The company is not saying very much on how it plans to deal with the problem. One company that has survived layoffs, strikes, and almost every other kind of business obstacle is celebrating a major milestone. 50 years ago tonight, Kaiser Aluminum opened its Meade plant. And that's where we find News 4's Dave Meany.
Well, Barry, the date was July 11th, 1946. At 11:30 p.m., workers fired up the first pot room at the Meade facility. And since that day, the operation hasn't stopped running for 1 minute. The Meade plant was actually built just over 50 years ago during World War II.
Kaiser Meade was built in 1942 to support the war effort. And that's one of the reasons why Meade and Trentwood were built so far apart, to be less of an attractive strategic location in case of bombing.
The facility pumped out aluminum for airplanes, but after the war, the plant was closed until Henry J. Kaiser came along in 1946. He wanted the facility to be a major player in the aluminum industry.
The people in the industries in the 1940s told Henry that there was no way he could make it. And 50 years later, he definitely proved himself.
At one time, Kaiser grew into the country's second largest aluminum supplier. Despite industry problems in the 1980s, Kaiser is still the largest manufacturing employer in Spokane County.
It's a tough job out there. There isn't very many easy jobs out there.
Elmer McDaniel spent 37 years at Meade before retiring. The job allowed him to support his family.
I tell you, it made an awful close-knit family of mine. And there isn't any one of my kids that would say anything bad about Kaiser. They know what kind of a life they've had, and I know what kind of life my wife and I have had.
Well, I have no remorse about it. I was well satisfied.
Bob Kxly worked at the Meade plant for nearly 48 years.
It's been a very important, place for guys like me to work. And like I say, it provided a livelihood for my family all those years.
In fact, the facility's economic impact to the region is almost too hard to sum up in a few words.
Meade has employed more than 10,000 families in Spokane over the last 50 years and contributed billions and billions to Spokane's economy.
And to give you more of an idea of the economic impact, according to Kaiser Aluminum, the facility is responsible or affects 1 out of every 20 jobs in the region, and that includes vendors, contractors, suppliers. All of that stuff, Barry, is really affecting the Spokane area.
50 years calls for quite a party. What's on the schedule?
Well, that's going to happen on Saturday here at the Meade plant. They're going to have an open house for all former and current workers.
and that's when they'll have their little celebration.
All right, thanks, Dave Meany. Live at the Mead plant tonight, and in just a few weeks, Kaiser's Trentwood plant will also be celebrating its 50th anniversary.
Tell you, this is exactly the kind of weather that makes you want to get outside and explore this beautiful area we live in. And there are other ways to see the beautiful Northwest than behind the wheel of a car. Coming up in tonight's Romaines Domain, Daryl takes us bike touring with a woman who knows so much about it, she wrote a book.
A break from the heat won't last very long. Laura Ashley sees a weekend warm-up.
But it wasn't hot weather that made this little deer decide to take a plunge. We'll tell you what did, coming up.
Hi, Doug Parker and Yoda here with the best news ever for used car and truck buyers. Toyota certified used vehicles. It's your assurance of a quality used car or truck. Every Toyota certified used vehicle has passed a 128-point safety and mechanical inspection, and it comes with a 6-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. A Toyota certified used vehicle is the next best thing to driving a new Toyota. Folks, these are nice cars. Come and see for yourself here at Parker Toyota, Coeur d'Alene.
Incredible savings now through July 15th at Lloyd's Appliance and TV Center's 17th annual tent sale.
Hi, I'm Tom Lalone. Join us under the tent at Lloyd's for the best appliance and TV selection.
Plus the Lubrication Station's 96 Tough Truck Competition and Demolition Derby. Get your tickets now.
For some, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. For most, it's a larger-than-life worldwide sporting event brought to life on television. The 1996 Summer Games in Atlanta could be your once-in-a-lifetime chance to witness the greatest athletes in the world compete. Your local Napa Auto Parts store and this station invite you to enter to win a trip for two to the 96 Summer Games in Atlanta. A chance of a lifetime. So visit your local Napa Auto Parts store today and enter to win. Contest ends June 12th. See store for details.
This year, the biggest event in the world will be the Olympics in Atlanta, and the biggest event in Spokane this summer will be the Windermere 1996 Olympic Wrestling Trials, the final event that determines the 10 athletes representing the United States. Presented by Windermere Real Estate and brought to you by these sponsors. Featuring 8 Olympic and world champions, including Kenny Mundy and Bruce Baumgartner. Windermere presents the United States Olympic Wrestling Trials June 7th and 8th in the Spokane Arena. Olympic fever, catch it, and get your tickets at G&B Ticket Outlets.
In 1921, a group of independent grocers formed URM to provide low-cost, high-quality groceries to the families of the inland Northwest. What was a good idea then works even better today, as URM member stores celebrate their 75th anniversary. This week, Darigold butter is just 99 cents, and Attaboy dry dog food is $8.99 for the 40-pound bag. At these quality URM stores, independent markets, and regional chains featuring Western family products.
Here we are in deepest Africa. My Artie Johnson tribute. Oh, man, I hate pith helmets. There you go. Uh-oh, the drums have stopped. You know what that means? Saxophone solo. No, it means it's time for some exotic animals. A young Jane Fonda experiments with her first exercise tape for overweight ostriches.
Now raise those wings, now push. No pain, no gain. Now feel the burn, now feel the burn. Now pluck your feathers if you haven't pushed. Now lift, now stop, now drop. Now push, now push.
Hey, lady, buy me. I'm the only one left in the pet store. Wait a minute, don't go away. I'll be your best friend. Bring me the paper and your slippers. Come on, lady, what do you say? Come on, this is embarrassing. I gotta find a home. I love your sweater. Oh, God, take me home, country roads. Who's the guy with the camera? Your husband? Sorry to hear that.